going out there, getting better, proving these doctors wrong, doing like impossible things. That's fun. That's cool. And doing it with someone else who's really energized and ready to go. Gosh, sign me up. I'll do that every single day of the week.
Welcome to the Modern Selling Podcast, where we help the entire sales community to create more sales conversations with today's modern buyer. This includes anyone from entrepreneurs and business owners to sales reps and sales leaders. Each episode, you will hear from sales leaders, practitioners, and influencers to help you find, engage, connect, and nurture your relationships with your buyers. I'm Mario Martinez Jr., your host, and you're now listening to the Modern Selling Podcast. This episode is brought to you by Gong, the #1 revenue intelligence platform for sales teams. Gong helps you achieve revenue goals by capturing and understanding every customer interaction, then delivering insights at scale so you can win more deals and increase rep productivity. Get powerful visibility into your customer conversations with Gong. Head to www.gong.io to get started. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this episode of the Modern Selling Podcast. I'm Mario Martinez Jr., your host. And boy, do I have an amazing opportunity for you today, a very special treat. I could not be more excited to have this guest. I want to welcome Mr. Rob Paylor. He's an inspirational speaker. He's the executive director of the Big C Society, a nonprofit, and get this, he's a quadriplegic on a journey to walk again. You may have heard his story. I know I did. And when Rob and I connected back some time ago, as soon as we connected, I knew exactly who he was. Why? Because my boy is a Cal Bear. And I knew his story. He's a 2-time collegiate national rugby championship player who had a really unfortunate circumstance happen. And I invited him here today to spend some time talking to all of us as salespeople, as individuals, and as sales leaders to think about the mindset component on how to overcome obstacles that seemingly are way insurmountable. Mr. Rob Paylor, welcome to the show, my friend.
Mario, I'm so excited to be here. This is going to be great. Thanks so much for having me.
Well, this is such an honor, and you're such an inspiration. You've got a really amazing story. So do me a favor. I gave a lot of background about yourself, but is there anything you want to add? Tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, so just kind of on the surface level, born and raised here in the Sacramento Valley over here in Northern California. So what I like to do is on the summer, I sweat my butt off out here in the heat every single time, but born and raised Catholic, K through 12, went to Catholic school, found my way over to UC Berkeley, go Bears, by the way, playing rugby over there, kind of this weird sport, right? The sport that like nobody really knows about in America, rugby. I've heard some people ask like, oh, is that the game with the sticks in it? Or, what even is that? But I found it and I really took a liking to it. I always liked hitting people. I like being physical. Just graduated with my degree from the Haas School of Business this last May and have started my career in inspirational speaking as well as an executive director with the Big C Society. So just continuing to stay away, keep pushing forward during COVID, but doing really well.
So I have a story to tell you, Rob, about the Haas School of Business, which, by the way, go Bears all the way. Yeah. And, the Haas School of Business, that was one of my goals, was to go into business school. And while I was there, I was forced to go onto that, the pre-Haas, learning track. And one of the courses was stats that I had to take, stats 101.
Don't remind me.
Yeah. So you know where I'm going. And the second course was Econ 101, right? So the story of stats is I failed miserably, but I came up with this strategy, and the strategy is that I knew that I was failing, and so as a direct result of knowing that I was failing, I said I need to go to office hours every single office hour to go meet with the professor to see if he could help me, and hopefully he might pass me along in the class.
Yeah.
So I did, and every time I sat there, it was like right over my head. I couldn't figure it out. His name was Professor Purves. Mm-hmm. And I remember there was a class of 420 kids. We had 10 GSI instructors, and I took the final and I failed it. Mm-hmm. So my GSI instructor called me up and he said, Mario, I've got good news and I've got bad news. And I said, what's the bad news? He said, the bad news is you failed the final on the curve. And I was like, oh God, oh no, this is horrible. What could the good news possibly be? He says, we're going to pass you along with a C minus.
Oh my gosh.
Said, what? Wait. What was my grade? He said, no, it was below an F. There's below an F. Yeah. And I said, what was my grade? I don't get it. He said, below an F. I'm like, well, how are you passing them with a C minus? And he goes, I don't know what you did, but Professor Pervs, out of 420 kids, asked who has Mario Martinez in his class. I raised my hand and he said, what did he get? I told him you got an F and then unfortunately you're going to be failing. And he said, give him a C minus and let's pass him through.
No way.
That's how it happened. So that's my story, man. And so that's when I knew the power of influence over people and really, the mindset, the dedication to being dedicated to something and someone seeing that you're trying to do something.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, so that's my story. And before we get started, I always ask all my guests, tell us something nobody knows about you, even if they were to look at your social profiles. And I've had everything from, I ran an illegal college poker ring to pay my way through college to an extra appendage to as boring as 2 kids and a dog. So you tell us, you're all over the news and you've been all over social media. Tell us something nobody knows about you, even if they were to look at your social profiles.
Yeah. So I've kind of got a funny one too. So it's freshman year of college, we're all broke, right? And we're all just doing laundry for the first time too. I'm so used to my mom doing it and stuff and everything. And so was everybody else. And, you had to like buy your quarters, buy your Tide Pods, do all that stuff. And I was living with just like a bunch of, dudes are the only ones doing rugby. I saw that in the chat over there doing their laundry. My buddies were coming up to me and they're asking like, hey, do you have any quarters? Do you have any Tide Pods? Stuff like this. I'd have to like take a bank run like every week to get these quarters. So I started thinking like, okay, like maybe I'll like start charging a fee here. And I had another buddy of mine who was also kind of like strapped on cash and thinking, okay, we'll do the same thing. So we like got online, we bought like a bunch of business cards and stuff. Like we made our own email and like a little website and stuff for like people to sign up and do their laundry, threw a bunch of flyers everywhere. And then we just like started getting business. People like wanted us to do their laundry. And I think they like expected like a couple of pretty girls to like come up to their door or something, like pick up their laundry. And, you had like these 2 like huge rugby guys like showing up like, hey, where's your dirty clothes? Thinking like, what are these guys gonna do to me? And eventually like 2 days later, all our posters get ripped out. Like they were saying like, no, this ain't happening. You ain't running a business on campus. But, for that whole freshman year, we continued to do it hush hush. And like, man, that paid the bills there doing laundry.
I love it. That's a good one. So entrepreneurship was in your mind then, as well as mindset, right? So, hey, if you're going to have to do it, you might as well make some money off of it.
That's right. Yep. Absolutely.
I like it. That's a great story. I don't know if you remember this, but if that was happening at your time at Cal, but right across the street from Unit 3, what was I at? Channing Hall, Unit 3, I think it was. Sproul Hall, I forget what it is. We had dollar Chinese food.
Oh, really?
Dollar Chinese, and I lived off of dollar Chinese food for an entire year. It was the grossest thing ever, but that's what I lived off of.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we all got our stuff. Berkeley's good for that.
Oh man. Well, listen, let's get into this conversation because we've got sales leaders listening in. We've got sales folks. We've got sales enablement marketing leaders. And this podcast is a little bit different. We're not talking about sales. We're actually talking about thought leadership and leadership of an individual's and control of their own destiny. Mm-hmm. I want to take you back to May 6, 2017. I imagine that date you'll never forget. It was the day that you broke your neck, if I'm not mistaken, in 3 different spots, and your life changed pretty much forever. Mm-hmm. So take me back to that day. Describe that day to me. What were your thoughts that were going through your head? What happened?
Yeah, May 6, 2017. It's kind of funny how the same day means different things for different people. For some day it was their birthday. For some people it was an anniversary. For me, it was the day I broke my neck and my life changed forever. It was the day of the Collegiate Rugby National Championship. For those who don't know rugby and the connection between Cal Rugby and the sport, Cal's a very successful program. I think we're around 32 national championships. And just to put that in perspective, I think the only team that's doing better than us is like the Harlem Globetrotters at like any sport and any level. Like their games are rigged. So, we're doing all right. And I'm starting as a sophomore, which is no easy or common thing to do, right? I worked so hard to get at that point. I was, waking up in the middle of the nights, making like 1,300 calorie protein shakes, like trying to build up my size, putting up those extra hours. It was paying off. My dreams, my plans, they were happening in life. I wanted to be an All-American. I wanted to go play professionally. I wanted to do well in my career, all of these things. I was really driven, and I had so much going my way, so much helping me. I was in a position to do that. I remember waking up and I kind of got like those butterflies in my stomach, right? It's nerves, but it's excitement too. Like you're ready to go. Getting in that locker room, it's kind of that low murmur of chatter going on, right? Guys like tapping their feet, getting taped up, talking about the game plan, how we're going to go and beat this team. We had an awesome pregame warm-up. I mean, we're just like firing on all cylinders, doing our stuff, nailing our lineouts, strong in the scrums. We won the coin toss, so we wanted to kick it off. Like we wanted to hit them first. So we all line up. Ref blows his whistle. I'm sprinting down that field. It's national championship time. Let's go, Robert. Spill your guts. Now, very early on in this match, I'm competing in a mall. And for those of you who don't know rugby, it's one of the bigger guys. We group together in the single unit and we push to advance the ball as a single unit. Defense's job is to come straight in and stop us from driving forward. And I'm a big guy. Right. I'm like 6'5", 240 pounds. Like I move people that don't want to be moved. That is my purpose here on this field, is just move people. We're 5 meters out from scoring this thing. And I'm practically like drilling here on this field thinking, let's go, Rob, drive this thing in. These opposing players, they start making these illegal moves and referee's not calling it. So player comes in from the side on my left, which you're not supposed to do. Ref doesn't call it, play continues. I got a job to do, right? We're 5 meters out. I got to score. Now, this player also binds me into a headlock. He's got my chin pinned to my chest, right? Now in rugby, this is an automatic yellow or red card, immediate suspension from the game, but still, ref's not calling it. 2 more players coming from the side. What are we on penalty number 4 now? Another player comes in. He chops me down by my legs. So I start falling down, right? This guy's got me. He's pinning my chin to my chest. I remember just fighting it. I close my eyes. I grip my teeth and then boom, snap. I could not move anything. I could not feel anything. I'm lying there on the turf, completely numb, completely paralyzed, screaming as loud as I can. My life just completely changed and I entered my worst nightmare. I'm thinking, my life's over. I've seen these stories on TV before. I've read these articles where something like this happens to somebody. They can't move or feel anything. You get the updates years later. These poor unfortunate souls, they just don't move anything ever again. I'm thinking, this might be me. Am I going to go back and play rugby again? Am I going to go to school again? See my friends again? All those things, like meet a girl, get married, start a family, have a good career. I mean, more importantly, am I going to be able to walk again? Am I going to be able to feed myself again? Right in this moment, my face is in the dirt, play still continuing around me. I have this terror just riding through my bones, and I can't even breathe barely. Now, trainers and doctors come over to me trying to assess the situation, kind of poking me and prodding me. Robert, can you feel this? Robert, can you move anything? Can you squeeze my hand? Can you wiggle your toes? I'm gritting my teeth. I'm trying as hard as I can. And it's just no, nothing. They roll over my body. I can't even feel them rolling over my body. That's how disconnected I am at this point. Now we go over to the hospital and we take a series of medical images thinking that, okay, maybe this is just a sting, or maybe this is something that's, just going to kind of end in a day or week, something like that. And I'll just continue on with my life as I should be. And my doctor comes back and he tells me the worst thing I could have heard. He says, Robert, your injury is bad, really bad. And the reality is you will never walk again. You will never move your hands. And we're going to do our best so you can do something like pick up a piece of pizza and bring it to your face. If you can do that, pick up a piece of pizza, you made it. You beat the odds. You need to start getting your expectations set to this really quick. And he didn't stop there. He also recommended surgery to me. He said it was my best chance at recovery. And if I didn't go into the spinal fusion surgery, that my injury would continue to progress and get worse. But here's the catch. It's a potentially life-threatening surgery. They're coming in here through the front of my neck. This is my incision site right there. A lot of important real estate, right? Something gets snipped. You're just a little bit off. Things go bad really, really quick. Now, I was scared, I was terrified, and I needed help. And I knew I wanted to get better. And there was no question about that if there was any chance any chance. Now, my odds at that point were probably about 3% or less that I would move anything again. I didn't just say walking. I'm saying move anything. Picking up that pizza, 3% or less. So I don't even want to talk about what my chances were of walking again at that point. But I knew I wanted it. I knew I would do whatever it takes to make it happen. I made a phone call to my religious advisor before the surgery, and I asked him for prayers. I asked him for advice. And before he hung up that phone, he said, Robert, throughout this journey, there's going to be a lot of things that you just can't control. But the one thing you will always have complete control over is your mindset, your positive outlook, your ambition, your willingness to wake up every single day and fight is up to you. No circumstance can take that away from you. As long as you have breath in your lungs, blood in your veins, and a clear head on your shoulders, you can choose to control your mindset. Now, in that moment, I didn't have a lot. I didn't have my body. I didn't have my ability to move. I didn't have the statistics on my side. I didn't have my doctor's positive outlook on my side, but I had my mindset and I had my faith. So I started that day one, with that goal in mind, that I was going to give everything I had, that if there was one thing I could control, my mindset, that's what I'm going to control. So I said goodbye to my family. I said my prayers, got rolled into the operating room, and that concluded May 6, 2017. Big day.
Okay. Normally, as a podcast host, I've got question after question, but you kind of stumped me here. Wow, that's a lot to take in at one time, and it all happened in a single day scenario, right? Like it just was
unbelievable. Woke up 1 second in the morning, D1 player going for a national championship. Matter of hours later, might not wake up again. Unbelievable. It happens that fast.
And for those of you that don't understand, the term D1 is Division I, right? So, So this is like the creme de la creme, the best of the best. It's the highest division you can get. And as you talked about, Cal's rugby program is one of the best, right? Or the best, if not the best, inside there. So take me to the you're paralyzed, not because of an accident, but you're paralyzed as a result of another player committing a penalty, meaning somebody else had the ability to control whether or not you would ever be in this situation or not.
Right.
That individual that did that, have they ever contacted you? Have they ever got back in touch with you? Did they come to the hospital? Did they send a card? Anything?
No. So that's one of the things about my situation. This was a real challenge for me, especially in the beginning of my recovery. Now, at first, we didn't really know what happened. You know, these things, they're so dark, they move so fast. And I was just kind of doing my job, right? I wasn't thinking about all the penalties that were going on. I was thinking, I got to drive this ball into the try zone. And then I broke my neck, kind of wondering, not really like, why did all this happen, but just how did all this happen? This dramatic shift in my life. And it was, nationally televised. This was a very big game sanctioned by USA Rugby. And this video and photographic evidence started to produce itself, where it was clear that somebody had bound around my neck, which in rugby is a non-negotiable card. It's not like you play advantage and allow things to kind of play out. No, referee blows his whistle, that guy's gone. You can't do that. And for good reason, right? And you can bet when I was looking at these pictures, looking at these videos of someone wrenching me down illegally by my neck, I wanted to be angry. I wanted to hate that person. My instinct, when someone punched me, I punch back, right? In rugby, if someone hits you, you hit them harder. This guy just hit me harder than anybody ever could have in my entire life. And to answer your question, this guy's never reached out to me. I'm 1,363 days into this thing since May 6, 2017. And still to this day, he never sent me a card. He never went to the hospital. He never gave me a phone call, a text, nothing. He's never said he's sorry. But I'll tell you this. I forgive him whether he is sorry or not. I realized that the more hate I gave to that person, the more I looked back on what he did to me and how he changed my life, the more power I gave to him and the less power I could give to myself. It wasn't until I truly decided to forgive him that I could move on from that moment. And I'll tell you that when I first made that conscious decision to forgive him, I didn't feel it in my heart. I had a lot of anger in me. I had a lot of animosity towards this guy, but no matter what I was feeling, I still made that conscious decision, right? Control your mindset, that I would forgive him. If somebody asked me, what do you think about him? I say, I wish him well in life. Even if my heart, I truly didn't. And over time, as I continued to say that and I continued to make that decision, that anger went down, that animosity went down to a point where I am now. I don't even give this guy a thought. I truly wish him well in life. I truly forgive him. I have no anger in me, and that's allowed me to move forward. So I think that's a big lesson for everybody, to think about those people that are holding us down, because that's all it is, choosing to make that decision of revenge, not to forgive someone. The only person that's hurting is us. And I don't even think it has to be a person. I think it can be a situation. There's sometimes when we can just be angry at the universe, right? With everything that's going on, everything that's going on with COVID, when somebody just cuts us off in traffic, we go outside and there's thunder and lightning and rain, we can just be mad about that. We can let that stuff just kind of ruin us, and we can have that same sort of feeling within us. We need to forgive those things too, those situations. Take the power, move forward.
That's such a great point. And from a business standpoint, there's going to be many a times where we may run into a situation where maybe we received counsel, guidance, coaching, and maybe you thought it was unwarranted. Maybe it was unwarranted, or maybe it was. Nonetheless, what you're referring to is all around this mindset, mindset shift on how to approach a situation, especially something that impacted you just in a massive, almost insurmountable way. Like, I don't even know if I could digest the idea that I couldn't walk again. I couldn't go to the bathroom by myself again. I couldn't pick up a piece of pizza, drink a glass of water by myself. I don't know if I could even think of that concept and then turn around and have this be as a result of somebody else actually causing that situation. So I appreciate that. And the way I look at this is, from a business standpoint, especially, you're sitting here and we're doing a live video recording in front of our whole entire company at our company kickoff for this podcast, is that there have been times where folks like my co-founders, Bernie Borges or Kurt Shaver or Vivica, have turned around and said, hey, you handled that wrong. And I thought that I handled it right. And it's like, no, you did it wrong. Here's why you did it wrong. And you need to think about this, this, and this, and that. And then you walk away and you're upset. You're mad. You're like, man, that coaching is not, they're wrong. They're wrong. And you try to think of all the ways in your mind to justify why they're wrong. And yet at the end of the day, they were really right. And that's really has a lot to do with the way you approach a situation and that mindset. And I think that's what you're talking about. And I want to go straight into that, where we talk about, let's go back to the doctors. There probably wasn't just one single doctor that told you, hey, you'll never walk again. You probably had a team of specialists and individuals, especially being a collegiate national rugby championship. I'm sure that Cal arranged for different types of specialists and or yourself, your family, all those things. So thinking about, when the doctors told you you'd never walk again, much less hold a piece of pizza.
Yeah.
Describe what you felt when you heard that and what that did for you.
It didn't do any good for me. I'll tell you that, hearing that kind of stuff. I was just trying to grab onto any shred of hope that I possibly could. I just give me a chance, just give me something. And I wasn't getting it, but in that moment, it was kind of like, do I believe these guys or do I believe in myself? Do I believe in my coaches that came over there to see me, to tell me that they believed in me? Do I believe in my family that were telling me that they believe in me? I believed in myself. And I knew in that moment that I could put in all this work, years of my life, and I might never walk again. This guy might be right. In fact, he's probably going to be right, because he wouldn't be just saying this. He wasn't just a bad guy. He was trying not to give me false hope, right? He was trying to protect me. But I think what is equally as dangerous, maybe even more dangerous, is giving someone false hopelessness. Now think if I were to listen to what that guy said and never do anything, just kind of accept that reality as my situation, let these circumstances determine how I act, I wouldn't be here today. we wouldn't be having this conversation. I might not even be alive today, because after he gave me that prognosis and I had that surgery, I got pneumonia. I couldn't eat anything for a month. I lost 60 pounds in a month. Death was with me in that room waiting for me to quit. If I listened to that doctor and what he told me, I might not be in this situation today. But I knew, like I was going with, that I might never walk again. I might put in all this work and it won't happen. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that, because I've seen a lot of people who live lives in wheelchairs and they live awesome lives. I will tell you right now, being in a wheelchair that I'm sitting in right now, my life is awesome. But the one thing I also knew is that if I looked back on my life and I knew that I didn't go all in, that I didn't give it everything I had, I would regret that forever. We have one life, right? No surprise to us. Every single day that passes is a day that will never pass again. And I just couldn't accept the fact that I would live this one life a quitter, that I would live this one life in this fear of regret, asking these what if questions. I want to get everything I can out of this life. I want to fight every single day to get what I want in my life, to mold the kind of future that I want to see for myself. I couldn't take that doctor's negativity. I just couldn't accept that for this one life that I have. I choose to make those decisions to get better, to fight every single day. And that as every single day passed, I know I could put my head on that pillow and think that I'm all right with this day because I gave it all I had. And I took my heart and I put it in someone else's soul to inspire someone else. And I can be happy with this day today.
There's a lot of nuggets right there. There's a lot of nuggets right there in a business application. I heard something that was very, very probably near and dear to my heart and very specific in business is give it everything I have. Mm-hmm. Right? Give it everything I've got. And then you said, I couldn't possibly think about or imagine or live with myself on the possibility of what if. What if I don't?
Yeah.
What if I don't? And from a business standpoint, I mean, oftentimes we're given opportunities, and those opportunities, we may have a skill level that's here, but where we need to achieve to is here. Mm-hmm. And we've got a choice to be able to figure out, what do I need to do to be able to give everything I've got to get to here? Mm-hmm. And what if I don't do that? And that's really that mindset component that you're talking about there. And I appreciate that. And at this point, all of our podcasters or podcast listeners, they're all listening in. They're wondering, I see you on screen. Our whole company sees you on screen. And they're wondering, they heard you say you're in a wheelchair, but the question is does that mean that you actually can't use your hands anymore? Is that your arms and your legs, and can you walk? And before you answer that question, we talk about you've been rehabilitating for over 1,300 days.
Yeah.
I want to basically take this commercial break right here and listen to this message from our program sponsor. Opinions in sales are your worst enemy. Here's why. Your business has million-dollar questions that if you could answer with facts, you'd have an unfair advantage. Those questions are, what really separates your best reps from the rest? Why do end-of-quarter deals slip? What messaging is resonating with your ever-changing market? It turns out the truth is buried right underneath your nose. It's found in the customer conversations your team is having every day. Introducing Gong. Gain powerful visibility into your customer conversations. With Gong, you'll win more deals, skyrocket rep success, and gain critical market intelligence that will help you achieve revenue success and win the lion's shares of the wealth. Go to gong.io/demo to get started today. All right, right before that message from our program sponsor, I was wondering, or everybody's wondering, they're listening right now into this conversation and they're saying, all right, can the guy walk? Can he use his hands? He's a quadriplegic, and if I'm not mistaken, your neck, you didn't say this part, but I read your story. Your neck was severed in 3 different spots, almost completely severing your spinal cord, if I'm not mistaken. So you started rehabilitation. You went on this mindset journey. You're not going to give in. You're going to give everything you got. It's been 1,363 days, 1,363 days since that event. What has kept you pushing forward for this long?
Yeah. So first I'll give you the update on where I am now and everything that occurred after that one big day, May 6th, 2017. So like I told you, I had the pneumonia. I wasn't able to breathe. Death was with me in that room, right? Very, very critical time. My doctors were telling me that I might not even survive. And think here, I'm 20 years old, at that point with my whole life ahead of me. I'm just what a crazy, crazy journey. I eventually go to do my rehab and I want to go to the best facility in the United States of America. That's a place called Craig Hospital in Denver, Colorado. And these people are different. They look at me and they see potential, not some broken body. And my first conversation with my doctors, they said, Rob, we just don't know where your injury is going to progress from here. I mean, you might walk out of these doors one day and you very well might not. But the one thing we can guarantee you is we are going to give you everything that modern science and medicine has to offer. So these people, they gave me that chance. They gave me that like really reasonable bit of hope that I needed to keep pushing forward. They didn't say like, hey, we're going to do this all for you. No, I mean, I had to work really hard. It was 8 to 9 hours of really intense rehabilitation a day. I'm trying to get something that can't move to move. That just so happens to be like 90% of my body. But I went from no motion at all to twitching a finger, twitching a toe, to where it was about a year later, it was probably like 11 months in that hospital, that on the last day I was able to get up with assistance into my walker and I walked out of the hospital doors. I did the impossible. And man, I was picking up pizza in my face, doing all these things, that I wasn't supposed to be able to do, return back to UC Berkeley, graduate from the Haas School of Business while continuing to work at my rehab, to where I can now, 1,363 days later, stand up out of my wheelchair on my own into my walker and walk up to 300 yards. And I continue to progress. You can see that, for the people on video, I can move my hands now. I can move my arms, my trunk, everything down to my toes. And I continue to build on that. And what keeps me moving forward is not the satisfaction of just doing it for myself, because I'll tell you what, it is hard. It's so difficult waking up every single day in a numb, paralyzed body, hoisting myself into my wheelchair from my bed, doing all these things. Every little thing I do is just harder now physically. And I don't do it for myself. I do it for others, because when I first got hurt, I did want to get better for myself. It was a selfish desire that motivated me. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, right? To want to walk and move for myself. But it was shortly after my injury that we started up a GoFundMe campaign to help pay for these medical expenses. As you can imagine, breaking your neck is not a good financial decision, right? The expenses are just unbelievable. We needed financial support. And the financial support I received has been unbelievable. It's put me in a situation to where I would not be where I am today if it weren't for that financial support. It gave me so many resources, but that emotional support, that those words of encouragement, that did just as much, if not more, to me. And hearing somebody say, Robert, you've inspired me. You have touched my heart. You have touched my soul. You have changed my life. I mean, think of those words when you hear someone say, you have changed my life. People saying, I am alive. I am here on this earth because of you today. It makes it to where this isn't about me. Getting up, walking every single day, checking all these boxes of every single day, 1,363 days. On day 1,363, after this call, I'm going to do a three-hour workout, not because of my own pleasure of going from point A to point B on my feet, but to inspire someone else. It is the biggest commitment I have ever made in my life, that in everything I do, it will be to somebody else's benefit. That's what keeps me pushing. That's what keeps me going, because when I'm struggling to answer those why questions, why get out of bed? Why start working early? Why do another workout? I do it because it's for somebody else. So I think that's something that everybody ought to have, that in our goals in life, we make this commitment to somebody else. And it can be a coworker, it can be a family member. Gosh, it can be someone that we don't even know, like in my situation. But when things get tough and we're struggling to find a reason to keep pushing forward, our commitment is that reason. And a life lived for others is a life of purpose, and purpose is what helps us overcome life's challenges. So that's something that I recommend for everyone. Make a commitment that helps us to continue to push forward in this long game.
So a lot of questions are coming in right now, and This is a unique podcast for everybody listening in. As I mentioned earlier, we're doing this in front of the whole company. And one of the questions that are coming in is your GoFundMe page still up? Do you still have that up? And if so, what is it, Rob?
Yeah, absolutely. So the GoFundMe page is not for donations. It's simply for people to be able to follow along with my story and provide words of encouragement that they want. A lot of people don't have like Facebook, Instagram, stuff like that where I post updates. So to be able to like witness that journey, I'm not actively posting on it anymore, but it still is there. And I mean, gosh, I think it's just an amazing thing to see when this world's just so filled with negativity. And when you go on your phone, you start scrolling around, it's just filled with like conflict, and it's filled with people who are just angry and bitter at each other. It just shows how beautiful people are, that so many people, I was 5.6 thousand people that donated to my campaign. So many people that I've never met nor ever will meet, out of the kindness of their heart, decided to support me financially or emotionally. It just goes to show how good people are. It's such an uplifting story. It restores my faith in humanity and then some.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
There was something I wanted to take you back to, and there was, if I remember correctly, a very special someone that was dedicated to your rehabilitation. And if I'm not mistaken, it was a coach that took a special interest in you.
Mm-hmm.
And can you talk a little bit about that? And the reason why I mention that is because very often in business, there's always somebody who takes an interest in your individual career, and they're focused on helping you get to a spot. And that's the person that will give you the tough love, right? And they'll tell you what it is that you don't want to hear, to tell you the things that you need to hear, but maybe you don't want to listen to.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about that individual, and how did that coach help you to take yourself and keep pushing and keep going and moving along?
Yeah, so Coach Billups is his name. He is the associate head coach for the Cal Rugby program. He's also our strength and conditioning coach. And, I got hurt and I was going back to Cal. I was thinking, this could be really dangerous for my rehabilitation. I was just in this world-class facility doing rehab every single day. If I start adding, a full course load onto what I'm doing and not the resources that I used to have, this could really put my goals of walking again in jeopardy. And Coach Billups, who, this guy doesn't know anything about neurological rehabilitation, right? He just basically says, what do I got to learn? What do I need to do? Who do I need to talk to get you on your feet and get you walking as much as possible? He didn't even I didn't even have to ask him. He just totally stepped up. And I have probably had my most significant gains under Coach Billups. Thinking about that, just crazy. And, we just talked about doing something for other people. Here's a guy who lives a life for other people. He woke up every single day to help me get better. And whether it was like doing wheelchair maintenance or getting me up on my feet in front of 50,000 people in Cal's Memorial Stadium for a football game, he's always been there for me. And he's always been my coach. And so that's another important thing too from this story, is to rely on other people, to use a support system, to work as a team. I think there's this common misconception that the tough and the gritty thing to do when things get tough is to just keep our head forward, put our head down. Don't tell anybody what's going on. Just assume that burden for yourself and keep going. And in reality, I think that's the last thing that we should be doing. Working with other people, that's a skill. Showing gratitude, having a mentor and working with that mentor, that's a real skill in life. And there's so much more we can accomplish when we do that. So when we can, we've got to work with others.
And I'm sure there were moments where you thought you couldn't do it. Maybe you broke down, maybe you cried, and he was right there to tell you what you needed to hear, which is keep going. We're going to do this. You can do this. Did he also serve as that kind of inspiration for you as well?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think like a big part of me and Coach Billups and our relationship is that accountability piece, because I could never miss workout. That's why I love working out with another person, is because when they're sitting there waiting at the gym and like you're snoozing back, you just can't do that. You said you're going to be there at a time. So now you're going to do it. And to be honest, like, I never really shed tears like in those workouts and stuff, because those workouts were fun. I mean, going out there, getting better, proving these doctors wrong, doing like impossible things, that's fun. That's cool. And doing it with someone else who's really energized and ready to go, gosh, sign me up. I'll do that every single day of the week. So that kind of motivation from Coach Billups, it was just that accountability piece that we both had this understanding that I have this goal that I am extremely driven to achieve. My eyes are set. I will not accept anything else. And he knew that. So what do we got to do? We got to put in the work. And that's what we did.
I love it.
Yeah.
In business as well as in sales, we hear oftentimes the word no. We hear no in sales, no, not at this time. No, you're not the right fit. No, I'm not interested. In business, we hear the same thing as well. no, you can't progress. No, you're not ready for the opportunity. No, we can't implement that idea. No. And then that may be valid, and sometimes it may not be valid. You heard no as a common challenge throughout this last journey of 13 plus 100 days. So talk a little bit about, how did you approach this word no during your journey, and what advice would you give to other people on how to handle the no?
Yeah, no, that word sucks. I hate hearing that word. And, I still kind of get a version of that word no every single day. When I woke up today, am I going to just simply pop out of bed, throw my clothes on in 5 minutes and, hop on this call? No. After this call, am I going to just kind of go out of this wheelchair and, take a little stroll, do whatever I want? No. Am I going to be completely fine today? No. Am I going to be completely fine tomorrow? No. Day after that? No. I still get that no a lot. And, I think after hearing that no, we kind of have to answer that question for ourselves after. Why? Why keep pushing forward? Why keep doing this? Not so much for the, answering that no question to the person who just told us, why are you saying no? But, us ourselves answering that why. That's so important for overcoming challenges. And for me, the answer to my why and my answer to all those no questions has been my vision. I spent a lot of time intentionally when I was sat in a hospital bed for a month. So I had a lot of thinking to do, right? I wasn't really sleeping during those nights, and I'd think about what I wanted in my life. I would close my eyes and I would think about being able to walk. I would try to move my body and really feel that connection. Think about being able to pick up that piece of pizza, being able to bring a water bottle to my face, go back to Cal and graduate, and all these things. I had them so clear in my mind. My vision was ironclad. I built this appetite, this insatiable hunger to make it happen, to where when I heard these no questions, that was just barely a dent in the armor. There's no way that these no questions could stop me, because I had this thing that I wanted so bad, so where it's whether I really want this promotion, I really want to land this sale, I really want to lose weight, I really want to work on this relationship that I have with someone else. When we think about our vision, what it's going to look like when we achieve that, really think about how we're going to feel when that happens. Have that vision really clear. Make sure it's something that we really, really want. We're going to be able to blow past all those no statements. There's nothing that can stop you when you have that clear of a vision, what you want and how you're going to get there.
Such great advice. And that has a lot to do with, especially when you're a small business or even a large enterprise, and you're an individual in that organization, is you got to have the vision. What's the vision of A, where the company is going, and B, what's your vision for yourself and where you need to go? And I think a lot of us forget about those two components, right? Do we understand the company? And then if that's absent, just pretend it is, especially in a large corporation. Then what's your vision for where you want to go? And how are you going to get there? How are you going to work to make that happen? Look, anybody who's listening into this conversation can absolutely see that you're essentially a really positive person. And I know this is not a facade, because I've seen a lot of your interviews. You're spending a lot of time talking, and then you and I talked a lot one-on-one prior to this. And what you were on the phone then is what you are now. And so I really appreciate that about you. But there's a lot of challenges that and many people are facing, whether it be because of COVID-related, financial, many different challenges. How do you deal with negativity, and how do you keep that positive attitude? Is it this vision that you've set before you, and that you just keep that in front of you, and there's nothing else that's going to take you away from that?
Yeah, it's my mental diet. I have a really, really solid mental diet. Now, that might be a new phrase for some of you, the idea of a mental diet. Now, we all understand the physical diet, right? It's nasty in, nasty out, or if we eat well, our body performs well. And I think the same thing goes for our minds. The more we take in negative information, the more we allow negative thoughts to cycle through our mind, the more negative we're going to be as people, and the less able we are to take on challenges. Now, just as the more positive information we take in, those positive habits we have to feed our minds with positive information, the more positive we're going to be as people. I think we have to have a real conscious audit of that negative and positive information that we're taking in all the time. really stop and think about when a positive thought is cycling through our minds. We got to be able to recognize that and shut it down. Not just do that, but build on other positive things to counteract that kind of negativity. Whether it's like calling a family member or a friend, someone that you just enjoy talking to, taking like 5 minutes to get on your phone and look up an inspiring story of someone. There are so many out there. Those kinds of actions that we take, real intentional things like the physical diet, right? It's like, no, for breakfast, I'm not going with the donut today. I'm going with the egg whites, because I know that's what's going to be better for me. We have to make those same conscious, intentional decisions with our mental diet. One thing that has been really beneficial for me is a gratitude journal. This is something that's been very researched, something that is so quick. It's less than a minute at the end of the day to actually write it down. But I like to think about it of 3 things at the end of every single day that I was grateful for that day. And it could be something as big as I just set a PR walking. I have walked further today than I have in the last 4 years. Or it can be something as small as like, it was a sunny day. I'm just grateful for that. Or something as simple as a breath, just, there was a time I couldn't do that for a month. A month. I am so grateful for being able to take that breath. When we start doing those things and we do it every single day, we feed our mental diet. We feed our minds to optimally perform. That's a very important thing, especially with all this negativity going on right now.
Mental diet is just as important as your physical diet.
Yes.
A gratitude journal. So, some of us are prone to being negative individuals. We think the negative first as opposed to the positive, right? And we've heard this before. The glass is half full. The glass is half empty.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a glass half full type person. You're a glass half empty, or vice versa.
Right.
And what I heard you say is figure out what the right mental diet is to be healthy, and create a gratitude journal. And write down the simplest of things. If the sun was out, you're grateful for the sun. Or if you got the big opportunity, you're grateful for that opportunity, right? In your case, you twitched a finger. I'm like, you twitch. It's like, I can't even imagine not even thinking about not being able to twitch. And furthermore, I can't even imagine lying in a bed for an entire month, knowing that I probably would never walk again. And all you could do is just think. 24 hours a day minus your sleeping hours. Like, that's a lot to consume, right? That is really a lot to consume in terms of the story. So I love the concept of the gratitude journal. It's super applicable, especially in the sales world, especially with getting no's many times. And, the budget, we just had an opportunity that we thought was an awesome opportunity. And the individual came back saying the leadership team decided to redirect the funds. Well, first off, I thought it was a stupid decision, but nonetheless, the point is okay, so we got to find the next one, and we got to find the next one, right? But what were we thankful for? Well, that was a great learning opportunity to be able to do the next thing. So let's kind of wrap this up here as we get to the close here. You're now an inspirational speaker. You're sharing your experiences and lessons, which you've done here for our entire company, and I'm super grateful for. And now here on the Modern Selling Podcast, what made you want to get into public speaking? And what's the message that you want to share with others?
Yeah, it's something that kind of came to me in a way. I never really had aspirations to be a public speaker before all this happened. I enjoy talking to people, when I was growing up in sports, give like the 2-minute pump up speech during halftime or something like that, but not sharing like this depth of story and lessons. And this happened to me, and it's been a story that's inspired a lot of people. And like I said, my purpose now in life is to share this story and share these tools that have helped me to overcome quadriplegia that others might be able to use to overcome the challenges that they have in their lives. And a lot of people came up to me, saying, "Hey, Robert, you've got this amazing story. If it's impacted so many lives, you tell it really well. Think about a career in public speaking. This can be something that not just impacts a lot of people, but this can be a very good career for you, financially too." Which is something that we all need, right? So I thought, okay. And I was doing a couple internships with Intel, with their operations department. And it was no secret that a couple of years ago, they were having a lot of operations issues. So they were having a meeting for America's operations and said, "Hey, Robert, will you come in? Will you share your story, share some lessons that we can then use to take on the challenges that we're facing with our business?" So I sat down with another one of my coaches, the head coach of Cal Rugby, Jack Clark. Fantastic speaker. He's been around there for 40 years. He's got more rings. He doesn't have enough appendages to handle the rings that this guy has won, right? And so I sat down with him in preparation for these things every single week for a semester, and then some. Really dissecting the story, the things that have driven me that I can share with other people. And we came up with a speech. So I presented it and people are laughing. They're crying. It's a standing ovation in the end. Here I am thinking, this is real purpose in my life. This is something I want to wake up and do every single day. The thing that I want people to leave with most, the thing that I think I can uniquely give to other people is perspective. And perspective is such a powerful tool, and it can really help us or really hurt us. I think a lot of times we compare our lives to the people who got it all going on, right? The people who just have everything in their lives. We look at them, we compare it to ourselves, and we think there's no way around it. Our lives suck. I mean, our lives are absolutely terrible. When we compare everything that we go through, these tough things we go through, to the great things that other people go through, or we can look at these other stories. I can look back on my own experiences in that first month when I could barely breathe. I couldn't move anything. My doctors were telling me I couldn't even survive. I can look back at pictures, look into my eyes, and know that I would have given just about anything to have what I have now. I mean, anything but my family and friends. I truly mean that. Name it. If it's not my family and friends, take it and give me the ability to move. I wanted that so bad. And I know there are so many millions of people in this world right now who are in that same exact situation. Some of them even worse, far worse. And I just say, man, remind me not to complain about anything ever again. There's this statement that I use that helps me when I'm just kind of feeling sorry for myself, when I'm looking at my challenges and thinking that they're all insurmountable and I just want to feel negative. And that saying is, compared to what? So I'll be thinking, oh man, I'm so tired, but compared to what? This is a lot I'm dealing with right now, but compared to what? That statement, it's not meant to dismiss our challenges, because I think that's very unhealthy to dismiss our challenges, but it helps us to look outside of ourselves, to feel some empathy for another person, and to put our challenges down into perspective, to put them down into size, to realize that what we go through is overcomable. And there are so many things that we ought to be grateful for. That statement, compared to what? I hope everybody leaves remembering and using that tool that we can have in our lives. I love delivering it. I mean, like I said, this is my purpose in life. This is my passion. I hope that by telling this story, I made some good happen in this world. And I know that because of what happened to me, I'm now able to tell this story. And what happened to me is actually a good thing now, because I'm able to share this gift.
So if I took you back to May 6, 2017, the night that you broke your neck, would you change anything?
No, there is no way I could do that. Being able to touch someone's heart, inspire someone's soul, that means so much more to me than being able to walk and being able to move around. I've received messages from some people. It's just incredible. There was one message I received in particular that I remember very early on in my injury, when someone reached out to me on Instagram, direct message. Never heard of them before. And they said, Robert, I don't know you. You don't know me. I've been following your story. And I just wanted to tell you this, that I have been in an abusive relationship the last 3 years. And it was getting really bad and I wasn't doing anything about it. I saw your story and your faith, your perseverance, and I got help. You saved my life. I've witnessed other stories, people on their deathbeds that didn't even know me. People would come over to see them, in the hospital, and they would say, go away. I don't have time for you. I'm praying for Robert. Now, blows my mind, right? I think about that. And it's like, how could I wish away those experiences? How could I wish away that impact that I've been able to have because of me taking on this challenge? And I hope that's something that everybody remembers today, is that a challenge is an opportunity, that success cannot come without hardship. That kind of challenge, that kind of hardship is what it takes to achieve a goal. That's why achieving that kind of success is so great, is because the adversity is so great. Because I have decided to take on this challenge with paralysis, it has led to my purpose in life. It has not broken me. It has been a breakthrough in my life. I hope everybody leaves with that today, that when tough things happen, that we realize this is going to lead to something better. If I continue to push forward, it certainly has for me.
A challenge is an opportunity.
Yep.
I love that. And boy, wow. we've come to a close here. I want to keep the conversation going. Rob, it's been a fantastic conversation, but do me a favor, just let everybody know if they want to reach out to you, if they want to connect with you. Is it on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn? What's the best way for business folks to be able to connect with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So first, my website, www.robertpaylor.com. It's got a lot of my content there. If anybody's interested in having me speak to their company, that's the best way to reach me. But honestly, all social platforms, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, I'm on all of them. There's not a lot of Robert Paylors in this world, so it's pretty easy to find me, to be honest. But I hope that this story continues to fill your mental diet, that you can scroll through that feed. And every single day when I'm doing my workout, 1363, I guarantee you're going to see me up on my feet, getting after it. I hope that fills your mental diet. And I encourage you, please, if you are inspired by this story today, please reach out to me. Like I said, hearing those words, that's what keeps me moving forward. So it's not for yourself, it's for me. It really means a lot to me, but it's a pleasure to be here and share my story today. This was a real gift for me.
So we'll make sure we put in robertpaylor.com into the show notes. We'll backlink that for you. Make sure you've got the right mental diet, that you've got the gratitude journal. And one thing that's going into my gratitude journal today is the opportunity and the privilege to be able to have interviewed you. So thank you for that, man. One final question. All-time favorite movie, what is it?
No question here. Forrest Gump. I don't know what it is about that movie. I've seen it like 50 times. And it was funny. When I was in the hospital, they didn't have cable or whatever. And I just had this DVD of Forrest Gump. So I watched that thing like 50 plus times. I'll go to like the Bubba Gumps now. They have the trivia. Yeah. And it's just unbelievable. It's like, what was the boat name? It was Jenny. And like, what was the hurricane that blew over, all those ships? Oh, it was Hurricane Carmen. Like, give me a tougher one. What was the bus number? Oh, of course. Yeah, all those things. That's my favorite movie. I can watch that a million times.
Life's like a box of chocolates, isn't it?
That is exactly right.
I love it. Well, all of you listening in right now, don't turn that dial on this episode of the Modern Selling Podcast. Make sure you listen to this important message right now. Sales managers, before you go, does it feel like everything is a priority and everyone is asking for your time and attention? Here's a free video training that will help you manage your time, double your income, and will skyrocket your team's success. It's called the Sales Management Matrix. You'll learn exactly how to spend your time for the highest revenue return possible. Go to gong.io/matrix to get the free 19-minute video training. Again, that's gong.io/matrix. Go there now, and we'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for listening to the Modern Selling Podcast. Please do me a huge favor and give the Modern Selling Podcast a rating and review on iTunes. I would appreciate it. Also, if you want to easily find our show, just go to themodernsellingpodcast.com. Hey, since you'll be on our site, be sure to check out our Modern Marketing Engine podcast hosted by my co-founder and CMO, Bernie Borges. Thanks for listening in, and until the next episode, good selling.